I've got, right.
All right. Good evening, everybody.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is not Chris Hart. This is Chris Foran. I thought I heard Chris raise your hand, so I raised my hand. Sorry.
Thank you, Chris. We have to hang on. We don't have quorum.
Yeah, we'll have to pause then. Okay.
Sorry, I did not find the email with the link, so I was hunting around for it on the website.
Glad to have you here, Chris. Thanks. Good evening, everybody. I'm Brad Walker. I am the chair of the Boston Landmarks Commission. I'd like to call this public meeting to order on Tuesday, August 12th, 2025 at 6:14 p.m. Thank you for your patience, everybody. This hearing will be held virtually and not in person. You can participate in this hearing by going to zoom.us/j/97613180615 or by calling 301-715-8592 and entering the meeting ID, which is 976180615. You can also submit written comments or questions during the meeting tonight to blc@boston.gov. In accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, including the March 28th, 2025 amendment, extending the suspension of these provisions until June 30th, 2027, we are conducting this meeting online. To ensure public access to the deliberations of the Boston Landmarks Commission, the public may access this call through telephone and video conferencing. This hearing is being recorded. All conversations between commissioners should be audible to the public in attendance until the hearing has been adjourned. I'm going to start by just very briefly summarizing tonight's agenda. I know there's a lot of people from the public on the call. I want to make sure people know that the items they're interested in are here. We're going to start with ratification of BLC meeting minutes from July 8th and July 22nd. And then we have 3 demolition delay matters to concern ourselves with. It's been a while since we've done those. The first is 36 Akron Street in Roxbury. The second is 1558 Tremont Street in Mission Hill. And the third is 434 Washington Street in Brighton. We'll move on from there to staff updates and adjournment. Before we move to our first agenda item, if there are any media or elected officials present, I would like you to identify yourself now by stating your name, title, and affiliation. In order to be unmuted and heard, you'll need to use the raise your hand function in the Zoom platform. We'll give people a minute to do that. Not seeing anybody. So I'm going to move on to the first agenda item. The meeting minutes for the July 8th, 2025 and July 22nd, 2025 meetings were distributed to commission members prior to tonight's meeting. I open the floor to commissioners for comments or corrections on either of those. There are no corrections. I would entertain a motion to approve the July 8th meeting minutes. I'd need a motion and a second. I see Commissioner Orlando has raised her hand. Do you want to comment before we move to a vote?
There we go. Orlando. Sorry, no, I was just trying to make the motion to approve.
Okay, thank you. And is there a second, please?
I'll second.
That was Felicia.
Yes.
Thank you. All commissioners present will be voting. So Commissioner Jacques,
Yes.
Commissioner Freeman,
Yes.
Commissioner Orlando,
Yes.
Commissioner Hoffman,
Yes.
Commissioner Hart, Commissioner Hart, are you unmuted?
Yes,
Thank you.
sorry.
That's all right. Commissioner Ward Hyatt,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So the meeting minutes for the 8th are approved. And I would now entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes for the 22nd of July. Is there a motion?
I can make that motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Orlando. And a second, please.
I'll second.
Is that Commissioner Jacques again?
Yes.
Thank you. And Commissioner Jacques,
Yes.
Commissioner Freeman,
Yes.
Commissioner Orlando,
Yes.
Commissioner Hoffman,
Yes.
Commissioner Hart,
Yes,
Commissioner Ward Hyatt,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So those meeting minutes are approved. We're going to move on to our first demolition delay. Article 85 under the Boston zoning code. It's been over a year since we've heard one of these. So this will be a discussion and a vote as to whether or not the building in question is preferably preserved and subject to a demolition delay. The purpose of this hearing is to determine whether the Boston Landmarks Commission should specify a demolition delay period pursuant to the Boston Zoning Code, Article 85, Chapter 665 of the Acts of 1956, as amended, to be applied to 36 Akron Street in Roxbury. Tonight's process will have one step instead of the two-step process that is allowed because the current applicant has waived their right to ask for a waiver of delay based on a review of feasible alternatives to demolition. Tonight, the commission will determine whether the building is preferably preserved and the 90-day demolition delay is invoked. And I would now ask Boston Landmarks Commission staff to review the staff's finding regarding the significance for 36 Akron Street with the commission. And the chair recognizes Elizabeth Sherba.
Liz, you're muted.
Okay, you're on.
I think I was frozen.
Okay.
The staff has determined that 36 Akron Street is significant within the meaning of the ordinance, specifically C, section 85.5.3C states the building is historically or architecturally significant because of period, style, method of building construction, or important association with a famous architect or builder. And section 85.5.3E, which states the building is one whose loss would have a significant negative impact on the historical or architectural integrity or urban design character of the neighborhood. 36 Akron Street is located in an area of Roxbury known as the Tommy's Rock neighborhood. The neighborhood's name, Tommy Rocks, is derived from a local hill that was named after Tommy Homigan. Tommy was a local Black man who was formerly enslaved and operated a stagecoach in the area during the early 1800s. The name honors Homigan and aims to celebrate and promote the rich history and culture of African Americans in Roxbury and the surrounding regions. The significance of the property at 36 Akron Street is clearly outlined in the MACRIS survey form for the building, which states, it's called the O'Neill House in the MACRIS form, was constructed between 1849 and 1853. The O'Neill House is an early example of a gable-facing Italianate building. The John and Margaret O'Neill House is a southwest-facing Italianate-style two-story, three-bay side hall plan wood frame building with a brick foundation and an end gable roof. The walls are clad with vinyl siding and the roof is covered with asphalt shingles. A parched chimney pierces the center of the southeast slope of the roof. A one-story bay window projects from the north bay of the southeast elevation, and a narrow enclosed entry porch with a shed roof projects from the west bay of the exposed foundation on the northeast elevation. The entrance in the west bay of the southwest elevation consists of a modern door sheltered by a hip roof overhang with carved brackets and drop pendants. A single light transom is above the door. The entrance is accessed by a run of brick and concrete steps leading to a wood entry porch enclosed with a vinyl-clad knee wall. Fenestration consists of symmetrically spaced 1/1 double-hung vinyl sash. In the late 20th century, the building was altered by the installation of vinyl siding and windows. The entry porch has been extant since the last quarter of the 20th century. It is remarkably good condition and likely still has original trim and architectural details hidden behind the vinyl siding. The building is one of a group of Greek Revival and Italianate style residential buildings on Akron Street, built between 1849 and 1860. It is abutted by the Regent's Place area development, which is an excellent set of slightly larger stone and brick buildings located directly north of 36 Akron. It is also near the St. James neighborhood, which contains larger Greek Revival style homes. Tommy Rock's Urban Farm was established in 2021 and is located at the top of Akron Street. This is an area of Roxbury that contains many important historic buildings, but faces modern development pressure. It is staff's opinion that the preservation of 36 Akron Street would preserve the Tommy Rocks in City of Boston area. Staff notes that there are no evident problems with the structural integrity of the building.
Thank you, Liz. And I would now invite the applicant to present any information that would assist the commission in determining whether the building is historically or architecturally significant. And you may also at this time address the condition of the building, but your presentation should be limited to information regarding the significance and condition of the existing building and should not address alternatives to demolition, proposed projects, or the suitability of the building for any proposed use. Would the applicant or a representative of the applicant please raise your hand? Is that you, Mr. Andrew Melton? To ask someone to unmute you to see. You should be unmuted.
Yes, I'm unmuted now. Thank you.
And are you the applicant or a representative of the applicant?
I'm representative of the applicant.
Great. Would you like us to take us through any information that would assist the commission in determining the significance of the building?
Yes, the owner of the property is Tony Fugate. He's owned it for decades. His uncle, Percy Booth, had owned it prior and was deeded to Tony years ago. We've been hired. I'm Andrew Melton, a partner of Melton Foray Architects. We've been hired for 2 years now, working for Tony on this project. The Mass Historical Commission, which I believe some of you should have, I sent that to Chelsea Blanchard and Joe Cornish. I believe you were copied on there, and a few others. But the Mass Historical Commission document that Commissioner Sherver just read, it clearly indicates on there that there's little significance architecturally to the present condition of the building. On that same document that Commissioner Sherver was reading, it basically indicates the John O'Neill House is an early example of an Italianate style house in Roxbury. It retains little architectural detail aside from the ornate door hood. So the building, the house was basically in the late 20th century, so 1990s or 1980s. Basically, it was stripped of, we believe it was stripped of any kind of detail ornamentation, and clad with vinyl siding, vinyl windows. And we don't think it's historically significant at this point anymore. It might have been at one point in time, but per the Mass Historical Commission, it retains little architectural significance except the ornate, hood over the entry door. I mean, we'd be happy to salvage that and incorporate that into a new project that was, I know we shouldn't talk about it, but it was approved by the ZBA Board of Appeals some time ago. But as far as the house itself, I mean, it really, we don't think it would be a loss to the neighborhood, and we don't think it has any historical significance, any longer. Again, it might have had at one time. So I think that's it. I don't know if Tony Fugate is on, or Butch Matthews partner, but they can further address any other comments.
All right. I'm going to, since I don't know who Joanne Tobin is and whether she's on your team, do you know if she is?
She is not. She is a neighbor, a butter on
Okay.
Akron Place.
All right. So thank you for that information. And I'm now going to invite public comment on the significance of the building and whether or not the demolition delay should be imposed. Again, not on the proposed use of the building, not on the proposed redevelopment plans of the building, simply on the significance of the building. And I'm going to ask our Director of Design Review, Joe Cornish, to call on people and set some ground rules for those comments.
Yes, I see Joni Tobin, you'll have 2 minutes to make your comments. You should be able to unmute yourself.
Thank you. Thank you, commissioners, for hearing this. I'm staying off camera because I'm eating, but this building, I'm in a butter at 3 Akron Place, which is directly behind this building, and this structure is especially significant to this neighborhood because the corner lot anchors the entire Roxbury neighborhood design overlay district that it's part of, and removing this building would significantly and irreversibly harm the character of the neighborhood because it's the beginning of the street. All of Akron Street is in, similar, except for one urban renewal building at the top is a similar style. And there's just no undoing the demolition once it's done, as you know. And this neighborhood has already been seriously harmed by urban renewal, and keeping this building as an anchor of an architecturally significant district is incredibly important. I'd like to point out that the architect just, when he says that there aren't any architecturally significant details on the building, that's just not true. And the structure itself is architecturally and historically significant and is in condition to be restored to its previous condition. Thank you. I would also say the community is overwhelmingly in support of a demolition delay and opposed to the proposed demolition.
Great. Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else who'd like to make a comment? Please raise your hand. Okay, Zoe Schefter, you should be able to unmute yourself. You'll have 2 minutes to make your comment.
All right.
Thank
Hey,
you.
everybody. Sorry, for some reason my video is not able to turn on, but can you hear me?
We can hear you fine. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right, so I wanted to join the meeting today. I live essentially right on the border of Jamaica Plain and Roxbury, and I saw this property, and I I wanted to reach out and start a conversation. I am really intrigued by the history and the ties to slavery. That's actually something that I study academically, and I've been looking for a place to essentially curate a museum of sorts, like a grassroots-led museum, in collaboration with other women around the United States who are doing similar things. And so I wanted to just kind of let you know that that is something that I'm interested in doing in collaboration with the community. Because I do think that's incredibly significant. I don't know who was sharing before saying that there's no significance to this building. Of course there is. I mean, from what that other woman was sharing about the history of the people who lived here, I mean, that does need to be preserved. So yeah, I think there could be a lot of ways to use this building in a collective community empowerment way that actually feeds into the locals. So I just really wanted to share that. If anyone else is interested in joining or having a discussion about that, we can talk about that. So thank you.
Great. Thank you for your comment. We'll go to Catherine Williams next. Catherine, you should be able to unmute yourself and you will have 2 minutes to make your comment. All right, Catherine, you should be able to unmute.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep. Great, thank you.
Thank you. I have been a resident of Tommy's Rock in the past and continue to support the efforts of the neighbors in their concern about the demolition of this significant historical building. I wanted to mention that there are over 40 buildings on Tommy's Rock. It's only a 4 square block area, and there is so much wonderful history on this hill. It was actually called Warren's Mount at one time, not just Tommy's Rock, because just next door, you can see in the picture that you have on display, there's a parking lot for 12th Baptist Church, also historically significant, where the Warren Hotel was located. So this cornerstone, and only at the other corner of St. James and Regent Street, 6 houses down, you have one of the oldest homes in Roxbury. It's from the 1640s, if I remember correctly. And so there's a huge amount of significance. We have the St. James neighborhood design district, which is on St. James Street. I thought it included all of the area, but perhaps not. But anyway, there's a lot of historical significance here that this is a cornerstone, absolutely, as Joni had said. I also wanted to read into record a letter from a structural engineer that is significantly important. You'll just have to bear with me for a minute as I escape to the letter. Let's see if I can get it to you. So the property, oops, wrong one. Here we go. Oh, come on. It's funny how these things happen. I opened up Chelsea's letter about.
Miss Williams, you're at your 2 minutes. So thank you for your comments.
Well, could I raise my hand again to read?
Well, if you want to, can you give a quick summary?
Very quick, please.
All right, give me 2 seconds. I just have to bring it up so I can read it correctly.
No, a quick summary, please.
I know, I understand what you're saying, but it's much easier if I have it in front of me. Sorry. Why did it disappear?
I'll tell you what, I think we'll come back
so
to
the point of the letter is that the abutter plans to excavate around the historical walls and build a new So the point is that the actual demolition of this building is going to have significant impact on the surrounding properties because of the retaining wall. It's an historic retaining wall that is made of pudding stone rubble, and it surrounds the building. And the work that they're going to be doing in the demolition of this historic building is going to have significant impact on an historic wall as well. And that according to the engineer, structural engineer, they would expect the work as planned to result in the complete loss of this historic fabric, as the wall will crumble into pieces, probably spilling out into residents' yards, not just 36 Akron. So there's a concern about the demolition in terms of the damage it's going to do to other properties nearby, and also the destruction that's going to be not only to this historic home, but also to this historic retaining wall.
Great. Thank you for your comments. Thank you. I want to note that Commissioner John Amadeo has joined us, and we will move next to Anthony Fugate. You can unmute yourself, and you'll have 2 minutes to make your comments. Okay, Anthony?
Yes. Can you hear me at this point?
Yes, we can. Yes. Please, you have 2 minutes to make your comments.
Sure. My name is Anthony Fugate. I'm the owner of this property. I understand, and I've heard what everyone's had to say about the historic quality of this house. This is a house that is in incredibly poor shape. There are no architectural details, in my opinion, worth saving. I can indicate that after reviewing all of the records regarding this, it appears that the only thing that remains is the archway for the building around the front door. I spoke to the contractors about whether or not that could be moved and placed on the new building. I heard a comment about the wall. There's a wall behind it, a retaining wall, that is not in good shape. We have already spoken to engineers about whether or not we could come right up against that. We could pin it and come up against that without doing any damage, any additional damage to that, and then make a decision if it's going to be replaced at all. But we do not have to demolish that. There is a significant amount of pudding stone there. Next door to this was another house. So there's already been a basement. There's a basement in 36 Akron Street. So there's a significant amount of this property that would not have any pudding stone. But again, it's like a lot of the buildings, it's in disrepair. Siding has been placed on the building over the years. Brand new windows have been placed on, but they're all aluminum windows and vinyl windows. Again, the inside of the home is in very poor condition. This is one of the homes built many years ago with only one bathroom in it. But again, it's fallen apart over the years. At this particular point, in speaking with the builders, the contractors rather, it would appear that this building needs to be demolished in its entirety. There's just no way to save this particular building. I understand individuals think that it can be saved, but I've certainly spoken to the engineer as well as the architect, and it is not a building that can be saved at all. It has, again, in our opinion, no architectural details to be preserved other than the archway around the front door, and we've made arrangements for that.
Great. Thank you for your comments. We'll move next to Garrison Trotter Neighborhood. If you can give us your full name, please, we'll give you 2 minutes to make your comment.
Hi, my name is Connie Forbes. I'm also with the Roxbury Neighborhood Council. And what we're seeing is a historic area that is losing historic features and being modernized. There was no attempt to put a structure in front of the residents that is even close to mirroring the surrounding historic buildings. And so what you see is a modern building that is going to block the existing historic buildings. And there's been no conversation. I think the historic nature is very clear. And I don't know if anyone has been to the site itself to see the surrounding structures, which blend in well. And if you're putting something that's, it's not sitting by itself, it's sitting within the context of a historic area. And that's, I think, getting lost. It is a historic area, it's a historic building. There is history for Tommy's Rock, and that seems to be getting lost. And I would love for the commission to go out, if you have not done a site visit, to see this space and how you perceive it live, because I don't think you can see it on paper. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for your comments. We'll move next to Butch Matthews. Should be able to unmute yourself, and we'll give you 2 minutes to make your comment.
Sure. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good evening. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I just wanted to chime in and comment on the project. I am the construction manager on the project. And again, we have been at this process for probably 2.5, going on 3 years. We've been to the property numerous times. We've gone over it, did our assessments of it. And again, looking at the documentation from the Landmark Commission, the Mass Historical Society, they said that the only element that appeared to have any architectural significance is the overhang over the front door. So we went back to the architects and made some recommendations to incorporate it into the new design. We've been to probably 6 community meetings, and we've had 4 design changes for the building. The Roxbury Neighborhood Council asked us to incorporate, some, gambrel looking structures, and they had us go look at another property that they sort of backed. And the architects went back and did a final design and incorporated that in the last of the 4 design changes that we did over the last 2.5 years. And again, there is really, a lot of damage on the house on the interior, and it's going to take a lot, to do it, and it's just not feasible to do. So basically, I just wanted to make that point and those comments. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for your comments. I do see that Zoe Schefter and Catherine Williams have their hands raised, but they've already made their comments. Brad, I'll leave it up to you how to proceed with that.
All right, thank you. I'm going to close public comment at this time and ask if the Boston Landmarks Commission staff has received any written comment on this matter.
Yes, we have. We've received 3 email messages and a petition signed by 24 people in support of invoking the 90-day demolition delay.
All right, thank you. And I would now invite commissioners to ask questions or comment on the significance of the building and whether or not the demolition delay should be imposed. Open that up to commissioners, please. Those of you that have your hands raised from the public, we're not taking public comment at this time. John Freeman, I see your actual hand.
I can't seem to find how to raise my hand anymore with
I know, they moved it.
So I see the react button, but I apologize. Yeah, I guess my questions are first, since we have a lot of testimony, and I'm sure it's all earnest and appropriate, but we seem to have some conflict of opinion. Is there a written structural assessment for the property? Are there any photographs of the condition? The general contractor mentioned an assessment that they did. Do we have a written copy of that? And has anybody taken any of the vinyl siding off to investigate the underlying finish and structure? So it's sort of 4 questions, but.
Liz, do you want to cycle through the photos again? Maybe that'll help. But we don't have a structural assessment.
And I would invite either the owner or the contractor or the architect to very briefly answer Commissioner Freeman's question about, have you done investigatory demolition to see what's under those vinyl cornices, for instance? You've said there's no detail there. Do you know that factually, or you just know that you can't see it because there's vinyl on top of it?
Okay. Oh, Andrew, I'll Andrew, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you. So I don't know if there's any written assessment. We've certainly done a lot of investigatory assessment. There has been we haven't revealed the vinyl siding or removed anything, but if I can share real briefly a PowerPoint I can show you send request.
Yeah, Liz, you'll need to make him a co-host. Yeah.
So can folks see this, commissioners and
Yes.
everybody? Oh, thank you. So this is the an old photograph of the house. You can see some of the ornamentation detail, trim around the windows. There's some brackets over the hood, which is the only thing that the Mass Historical Commission has said that is of any remaining significance to this Italianate style home. Any brackets along the eaves and so forth, those have been removed.
Do you
So
know that they've been removed?
yes, because they're not there.
Yes, but frequently people put vinyl siding or aluminum coping over those details.
Well, that could be. Honestly, I don't know. That
Okay, thank you.
So this is the Mass Historical Commission, which Commissioner Sherba has read. And on the third page, again, it says the John O'Neill House is an early example of Italian style house in Roxbury. It retains little architectural detail aside from the ornate door hood. We've mentioned that a few times. This is the present condition of the house. You can see that in the original. Sorry, it's there's no detail showing of any of the trim. But you can see the brackets on the hood over the front door.
Thank you. I feel like we're repeating points. We understand about the hood and the brackets, and we understand the house has been
right. So
covered in vinyl siding, and we understand the Mackers report about detail, which is not the only element of significance. So I'd like to invite other commissioners to ask questions. First, I'd like to ask John Freeman, has his question been answered?
I think my question has been answered as to whether there is any or sufficient assessment.
Structural assessment.
Structural or envelope assessment.
Or investigatory. Okay.
Right.
Other commissioners.
Or even pictures so we could make our own assessment. But so go ahead, please.
Any other commissioners, please? Do commissioners have comments about the sort of cultural significance of the building and its association with previous owner, the neighborhood? Okay. There are no comments or questions for commissioners. I'm going to ask.
You want comments or just questions?
Comments are great.
All right, yes, I'll make a. I thought you were asking specific.
Thank you.
Yeah, typically to allow demolition of a property, we need to have significant evidence that the property is not recoverable, not restorable. One of the tenets of preservation landmarks is that when it is unclear, the status is unclear, you err on the side of preservation. A 90-day delay is very short, and I believe that it would be appropriate to put the delay in place to allow some, if the owner would allow it, to allow some investigation or to allow other evidence to be brought to the commission. The owner or the applicant can always come back to the commission with further evidence. But because we don't have any significant photographs, structural assessment, written assessment from a professional in the construction profession, other than the interested parties in the project, I don't think that we could allow demolition at this time.
Thank you, Commissioner Freeman. Other commissioners? If not, I'm going to move on. I'm going to ask, I think Liz, I think you're doing this. Will you please provide us with the Landmarks Commission staff recommendation on this?
Yes, the Boston Landmarks Commission staff recommends invoking the demolition delay.
All right. So I think that concludes our testimony this evening, and I would entertain a motion to invoke a 90-day demolition delay for 36 Akron Street. Is there
So
such a
moved.
motion?
Second.
John Freeman, so moved.
Freeman, and the second, I'm sorry, was that Felicia?
Yes.
Thank you. As we said, Commissioner Amadeo has joined the meeting.
I'm getting a lot of background noise.
Yeah, someone might want to mute themselves if they're in a noisy place. Commissioner Jacques, please.
Yes.
Commissioner Freeman.
Yes.
Commissioner Orlando.
Yes.
Commissioner Hoffman.
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart.
Yes.
Commissioner Ward Hyatt.
Yes.
And I vote yes. The vote carries, and the Boston Landmarks Commission finds that it is in the public interests, in the public interest that it is preferable that the building at 36 Akron Street be preserved or rehabilitated rather than be demolished. Therefore, the Boston Landmarks Commission has determined that this significant building is subject to the demolition delay and that the Commissioner of Inspectional Services shall not issue a demolition permit until November 10th, 2025, 90 days from the close of tonight's public hearing. The applicant shall be responsible for properly securing and protecting the buildings during the time that they are subject to delay under Article 85. And that concludes this matter. Before we move on to the next one, I recognize that I jumped in so excitedly when we had quorum that I didn't introduce everybody. So let me let me make note of who the commissioners are that are present. Commissioner Jacques, Commissioner Freeman, Commissioner Orlando, Commissioner Hoffman, Commissioner Amadeo, Commissioner Hart, Commissioner Ward Hyatt, and myself, Commissioner Walker. We're also joined by Joe Cornish, who is the Landmarks Commissioner, Director of Design Review, by Elizabeth Sherva, who is the Deputy Director of the Office of Historic Preservation, and by Sarah Lawton, who is a Preservation Assistant with the Boston Landmarks Commission. Did I miss anybody on staff? Okay, I'm going to move on to the next one. It's pretty much the same drill, but I'll read the same things into the record. The purpose of this hearing, this is 1558 Tremont Street in Mission Hill.
Brad? Commissioner
Yes.
Hoffman has her hand raised.
Yes, hi. Does she need to be unmuted? There.
I apologize. I just did that because I had to switch.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Gotcha. Thank you. The purpose of this hearing is to determine whether the Boston Landmarks Commission should specify a demolition delay period pursuant to the Boston Zoning Code, Article 85, Chapter 665 of the Acts of 1956 as amended to be applied to 1558 Tremont Street in Mission Hill. Tonight's process will have one step instead of the allowed two-step process because the current applicant has waived their right to ask for a waiver of delay based on a review of feasible alternatives to demolition. So tonight, the commission will determine whether the building is preferably preserved and the 90-day demolition delay is invoked. And I would now ask the Landmarks Commission staff to please review staff findings regarding the significance of 1558 Tremont Street with the commission. And the chair recognizes Elizabeth Sherva to take us through that.
Sure. The staff has determined that 1558 Tremont Street is significant within the meaning of the ordinance, specifically section 85.5.3E, which states the building is one whose loss would have a significant negative impact on the historical or architectural integrity or urban design character of the neighborhood. 1558 Tremont Street is an important building which tells the story of an immigrant family who made a successful life in the city of Boston. The building, currently located at 1558 Tremont Street, was originally built by Timothy McCarthy at 1467 Tremont Street. The building appears on an atlas in 1873 at 1467 Tremont Street, which is current-day Roxbury Crossing. Roxbury Crossing became a commercial hub in the late 1870s, which meant that many developments were introduced to the area, such as schools, churches, commercial buildings, and commercial businesses. McCarthy moved his wood frame building up the street to a location that was more advantageous for quarrying, current day 1558 Tremont Street. This location is at the foot of Mission Hill, where much of the city's pudding stone was quarried. In the City Council records of 1879, it is stated that McCarthy moved a wooden house from 1467 Tremont Street, the middle of Roxbury Crossing, to Tremont Street opposite Bumstead Lane, which is current day 1558 Tremont. After the building was moved, McCarthy operated a pudding stone quarry and construction yard in the location for many years. He also maintained ownership of the land at 1467 Tremont Street, where shops were built. McCarthy and his heirs owned the building and the land at 1558 Tremont Street for many years. The first block of current-day Pontiac Street was first known as McCarthy Street. Interestingly, the current development proposal, which would demolish this building, will also require the demolition of the WP-era street walls on adjacent Pontiac Avenue, which are constructed of pudding stone, likely from the yard at 1558 Tremont. The handsome building located at 1558 Tremont Street bears some of the important hallmarks of a federal-era building: the symmetrical hip roof, the delicate cornice brackets, and the flat but refined classical trim around the original windows are all characteristics of a building that is much earlier than the listed 1899 date. 1558 Tremont is not only an example of Boston's vernacular federal architecture, but also tells the story of an important industry in Boston's history and of one family's legacy. Staff notes that there are no evident problems with the structural integrity of the building.
All right, thank you, Liz. And I would now invite the applicant or representative of the applicant to present any information that would assist the commission in determining whether the building is historically significant or architecturally significant. You may address the condition of the building, but your presentation should be limited to information regarding significance and condition, and should not address alternatives to demolition, proposed projects, or the suitable of the building for any proposed use. I'm going to turn it over to Joe Cornish to recognize people. I think
Yeah, well, looks like a John Pulgini. I think, are you the owner's rep?
I am, Joe. Nice to see you.
Yeah, thank you.
John, do you have a presentation to share this evening?
I do not.
Okay.
So good morning. I mean, sorry, I'm used to morning meetings. I apologize. Good evening, everyone. Attorney John Pulgini here on behalf of Tremont and Pontiac LLC, who is the owner of this building. So when we received the determination, we went and looked at ISD records. This property has undergone several major exterior additions and architectural changes over the years. The interior of this building has been completely gutted and expanded to allow its use as a funeral home. Just as far as the condition of the building, it has been vacant for approximately 20 years and has been an eyesore. It's targeted with graffiti and has experienced several break-ins over the past decade. The building has been secured by the current owner. However, the security has been breached multiple times. As I stated earlier, this property has had no less than 2 significant material changes to the integrity of the building. In the late summer, early fall of 1953, the owner of the building changed from a one-family dwelling to a one-family dwelling and a funeral parlor. Work include a one-story, 463-square-foot addition to the building. Later in the summer of 1965, the owner of the building then constructed a second-story addition to the building. In addition to that, we have, and also one other thing, and you guys can do this, you're the expert on this. When you view Macris database, This building's not even categorized in the database. And outside of that, the building has also had vinyl siding placed on it. But we feel that the fact that there's been 2 additions that have been added to this building since it was first moved to this location is evidence that it is not historically significant in our opinion. But we're happy to answer any questions. We do have Bill Messenger and Tim Loringer from Embark Architects are also on this call. Appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Thank you. I'm gonna move on to public comment then and invite public to comment again on the significance of the building and whether or not the demolition delay should be imposed not on any proposed use or redevelopment project. If you'd like to raise your hand, Joe Cornish will take us through the comments.
Yeah, Ellison Polton is, you'll have